During the final week of June 2025, southwestern China witnessed one of the worst natural disasters in decades. The province of Guizhou, in particular, was plunged into an unprecedented state of emergency due to relentless torrential rains and catastrophic flooding. Rongjiang County and the surrounding areas were hit hardest, forcing the evacuation of tens of thousands of people, collapsing critical infrastructure, and cutting off entire communities from the outside world. The tragedy began when a powerful weather system, fueled by the East Asian monsoon and moisture from Typhoon Wuip, stalled over the region for several consecutive days. The nonstop rainfall caused the Pingyong, Guizhou, and Dulu rivers to overflow, reaching historic and alarming levels. In some locations, the water rose over 6 meters above warning thresholds, submerging cities, towns, and farmlands. One of the most critical moments occurred on June 24th in Rongjiang, when the swollen Dulu River flooded a popular local soccer stadium. By 2 p.m., the entire field was under more than 3 meters of water. Local reports indicated the river had exceeded its safety level by 6.68 meters. By that time, more than 49,000 people had already been evacuated from Rongjiang, and another 32,000 in neighboring Rongjiang County were relocated due to the advancing waters. The situation worsened as multiple landslides, triggered by saturated soil, destroyed roads and bridges. On one of the main highways leading into Rongjiang, a viaduct partially collapsed, and a truck nearly plunged into a ravine, its driver rescued by emergency services just moments before a greater tragedy could unfold. Authorities quickly responded by raising the flood emergency alert to level 1, the highest in China's emergency response system. Rescue teams composed of firefighters, soldiers from the People's Liberation Army, armed police, volunteers, and emergency personnel were deployed with boats, kayaks, drones, and helicopters to evacuate stranded residents and deliver critical supplies like rice, drinking water, and medicine. Among those affected, countless individuals recounted harrowing scenes. Long Tian, a resident of Rongjiang, described how water reached the 3rd floor of his building within hours, forcing him to take shelter at the top until he was rescued. Other accounts included entire families being evacuated in the dead of night, children waiting for help in kindergartens, and villagers climbing onto rooftops after removing tiles in desperate attempts to escape the rising water. Collapsed communication networks, power outages, and overwhelmed evacuation routes compounded the crisis. Many rural areas could only receive aid by air, prompting the government to deploy drone deliveries, especially in isolated villages like those in Rongjiang County. There, the swelling Rongjiang River cut off all but one bridge, leaving communities virtually inaccessible. Neighboring Guangxi province also suffered under the emergency. In the village of Dayton, floodwaters reached the 2nd floor of homes in under an hour. Villagers scrambled to salvage belongings and pleaded for rescue. With no electricity, blocked roads, and relentless rain, the population was left in a state of extreme vulnerability. Simultaneously, Rongjiang County experienced similar devastation. On June 24th, the entire urban area was submerged. Bridges collapsed, homes and shops were destroyed, and thousands lost access to food, water, and safe shelter. Areas closest to the river sustained the most severe damage, with massive material losses. In Guangdong, the situation was equally dire. Due to Typhoon Wuip, rainfall intensified starting June 14th. Although the storm weakened after landfall, it brought heavy moisture that led to widespread flooding. On June 24th, Hai County recorded a historic crest of the Sujiang River at 55.22 meters, a level never seen before. More than 68,000 people were evacuated in Guangdong, with 180,000 affected overall. The destruction included schools, bridges, hospitals, and vital roads. Authorities transformed gyms, schools, and community centers into makeshift shelters. Over 10,000 rescue workers were mobilized, with helicopters scouring flooded areas for survivors. The human toll was overwhelming. One woman from Rongjiang said her elderly parents had to flee to the 4th floor of a neighboring building when floodwaters reached the 3rd. She spoke tearfully of being unable to contact them due to power and internet outages. Many residents spent days trapped without access to food or basic services. In Rongjiang County, part of Guizhou City, continuous rainfall and the relentless rise of the river caused entire homes to collapse. The Sandu hydroelectric plant began releasing water due to system saturation, further raising river levels downstream. In areas like Yangjiuan, only rooftops remained visible above water. The emergency extended to Hunan, Sichuan, and other central and southern provinces. In Hunan, more than 400,000 people were evacuated after record-breaking rainfall. Cities like Zhangjiajie saw incalculable losses to infrastructure and crops. People and vehicles were trapped in underground garages overnight. Meanwhile, the north faced a drastically different, yet equally dangerous threat. Provinces like Hunan, Hebei, and Shandong experienced extreme heat waves with temperatures exceeding 40 degrees Celsius (104 degrees Fahrenheit), creating a disturbing climate duality: catastrophic floods in the south and scorching heat in the north. In response to the unprecedented disaster, the Chinese government announced an emergency fund of approximately $100 million. Of that, nearly $14 million was allocated specifically for relief efforts in Guizhou. These funds aim to fast-track infrastructure reconstruction, reinforce river defenses, and improve resettlement plans for displaced populations. Scientists and experts have repeatedly warned that such events are intensifying due to climate change. Global warming, they say, is doubling monsoon intensity in Asia and increasing the risk of extreme rainfall. Aging urban systems, outdated flood defenses, and rapid urbanization worsen the destructive impact of these storms. Meanwhile, ground operations continue. Excavators clear debris from streets. Engineers inspect collapsed bridges. Electricity and clean water services are slowly being restored. Communities, though devastated, are beginning to organize and rebuild what was lost. The June 2025 floods will be remembered not only for their devastating scale, but also for the resilience of the Chinese people. In every tale of tragedy, there were also stories of courage and solidarity, from the young boy in Guizhou who guided an elderly couple to safety, to the man who smashed down a door with an axe to save his family. Humanity shone through the chaos. The disaster left not only physical destruction, but also deep emotional wounds among families still searching for loved ones. Large parts of Rongjiang, especially near Mount Wuyong, remain unreachable. In streets like Changba, water levels surpassed the third floor of buildings, unseen in any prior flood. Even the tallest structures, once safe during past disasters, were overtaken by the unstoppable floodwaters. Mobile networks, internet, and electricity completely failed, plunging entire communities into isolation. One woman shared through tears how her parents, living in a 5-story building, were forced to go house to house, seeking higher ground as floodwaters rose floor by floor. For many, rooftops and upper floors were their only hope. Although the rains began to ease during the early hours of June 25th, authorities warned that water levels would recede slowly as drainage systems were clogged with mud, debris, and complicated by the area's topography. In Rongjiang district, downstream from Rongjiang, conditions were just as critical. Water levels continued rising even after the rain stopped, likely due to upstream pressure caused by emergency discharges from hydroelectric dams like Sandu. Only bridge number 2 over the Rongjiang River remained operational, while others were damaged or inaccessible. Most shops and businesses in the old city were fully submerged, resulting in massive economic losses and leaving residents without immediate livelihoods. In Xinhua City, also in Guizhou, the effects of hydroelectric water discharges were evident. Rooftops floating, cars swept away, entire villages reduced to ruins. The water rose so quickly that many residents had less than an hour to evacuate. In towns like Zhejiang, the full number of casualties had yet to be determined. Locals estimated that deaths could exceed a dozen, though few dared say it publicly due to government restrictions on reporting unverified figures. A lack of specialized rescue personnel further hindered relief efforts. Although Rongjiang had a fire brigade, it lacked the manpower and equipment to deal with such a massive emergency. Despite the efforts of hundreds of soldiers and volunteers, many areas remained unreachable. Authorities began deploying speedboats to reach those trapped where roads had vanished under the flood. The scale of the disaster even surpassed the infamous 1996 floods, long considered the worst in local memory. Elders in the region said they had never seen anything like it. In Yangjiuan, only rooftops were visible above water. Flood barriers built after past disasters were no match for the sheer force of this event. Though expected to mitigate damage, they were easily overwhelmed, raising serious concerns about their design and effectiveness. In Gansu, northern China, the rain also wreaked havoc. A car carrying 5 people was swept away, and no contact had been made with the occupants. In Jingyuan, residents said they had never experienced a storm of such magnitude. The weather system, having devastated the south, was now moving towards central and northern regions, raising alarms about China's national emergency response capacity. Economic losses are immeasurable. Farmers just weeks from harvest saw their fields destroyed. Small businesses, especially near rivers, lost all their goods. The collapse of roads and bridges slowed aid distribution, making immediate recovery even more difficult. Officials announced a reconstruction plan focused on restoring basic services like clean water, electricity, and transport, but warned it could take weeks or even months to return to minimal normalcy. Experts emphasized that the region's mountainous terrain, rapid urbanization, and aging flood infrastructure greatly intensified the disaster's impact. Entire cities, though built with modern materials, lacked proper drainage and were completely submerged. The Chinese government has begun reassessing the need to redesign its flood control systems and build new drainage channels in high-risk areas. Meanwhile, the population remains in suspense. Many people still can't return to their homes. Others wait anxiously for word about missing loved ones. All are trying to salvage what little they have left. The disaster has left behind not just widespread destruction, but a profound reflection on how fragile modern societies remain in the face of nature's fury and the urgent need to adapt to an increasingly extreme climate.